y'all, it's Lexi, and today I will be telling you the story of how I lived in a haunted dorm for a year. So, as you can see, I'm currently in a dorm setup. This is not that dorm. I'm never going back to that dorm. I've got a nice new dorm. It's really nice and cute and much nicer than that one. Don't do traditional dorming, it sucks. The dorm that I lived in was Donovan Hall at the UNG campus. I don't know if any of y'all know where that is. It's a traditional dorm up in the mountains of North Georgia. When the dorm was built in the early 1900s, there was a graveyard there. And they didn't move the graveyard. So the story goes, I mean, that's what it looks like to us. You can Google it, find your own. But they just built the dorm. They took out the graveyard, leveled it, didn't move any of them, and built the building. And there were a lot of children there because children died back in the day, a lot. The dorm is said to be haunted by Alice Donovan, who has a big picture as soon as you enter the dorm building. The groundskeeper, I don't know who that is, just a groundskeeper, and children. Yeah. So fast forward, we didn't know this when we moved in, and first day, first week back, we hear knocking inside the wardrobes. Like, it was quiet and it was just there, and it would just be like a few taps and then stop, and we were like, that's really weird, who's doing that? And there's nothing there. There's nothing up against it. It's just clothes. And we're like, okay, weird. And it keeps going. It happens a couple days later, a couple days after that. It happens when I'm in the room by myself. It happens when my roommate's in the room by himself. It happens when we're both there at night. Like, it does not happen during the day when we're both there. It will happen in the middle of the night though. So that was fun. And then we're like, hey, RA, what's up? We keep hearing knocking. Like, is it old? Like, do they do that? And she's like, I mean, they don't do that, but the dorm's really haunted. So like, and I'm like, what? And she basically tells us, yeah, they say it's built on a graveyard and the dorm is supposedly haunted. And it's like, that's something you don't know as a freshman when you move into a building, but we know now. And we're like, okay, weird. But she didn't tell us that much. She didn't know that much. She just told us, yeah, the other wing of the building, we lived in like the wing towards the back, apparently the A wing towards the front, super haunted, right? Whatever, we kind of ignore it. We're like, okay, well, if it's just some tapping in a wardrobe, not a big deal. We can deal with it. So we go about our business, and about a month into the year, it hadn't happened that much. Like, the tapping kind of slowed down a bit. It still happened when we were alone in the room, but not a big deal, right? And then about a month into the year, I was in the dorm by myself at night and wasn't paying attention, just looking out the window. And I should probably tell y'all, the window had a perfect view of the graveyard. Like, you looked out the window and maybe 10 feet across there's a little stretch of like concrete and then the graveyard, and you could see the graveyard. So our view was the graveyard. So I'm looking out at night and we're on the second story and I see a guy walk past. Like, not down there. I saw a guy walk past the window. Shoulder, like as if he were walking on the floor. You could see about this much of his shoulder, head, and a hat. Honestly, I'd only been there a month. I didn't register, I was on the second floor. I didn't think about it until like maybe a half hour later. A new friend down the hall goes, what the fuck? I just saw a guy walk past my window. We're on the second floor. And I'm like, wait, how did I see a guy walk past the window on the second floor? I didn't even pay attention. I don't know what he looked like. I couldn't tell you what he looked like. So that was the first time that anything like was truly weird, but like, you know, you forget about stuff like that. It's not important. So I'm going on living my best life, and we've been there for maybe a month and a half, and it's a Friday night, and we'd sit up really late watching movies with friends. and it was probably 4 a.m. Like, at that point, it's not even late, it's early. And I go, I'm gonna go get a shower. There's nobody in the communal showers right now. So I go out, and there's no one in the hall. The entire hall is pitch black. Everyone is asleep. There's no noise. No one in the common area, nothing. So I go in and I get a shower. And during my shower, I feel like someone's watching me, like over the stall, and I keep looking up, and there's no one there. And then I hear someone walking, like pacing out, like in the bathroom area. But when I walked in, there was nobody in there, like no one in there. And there was no doors had opened while I'd been showering. So I'm like, who the hell is just pacing? Like, they're walking, heavy footsteps, back and forth, down the toilets, back up, past the showers, down the toilets, back up, past the showers. And I'm like, freaking out. Like, I hear something, I feel like someone's watching me. And all of a sudden, the footsteps come in front of the stall that I'm in showering. So, you know, there's a door, space to change, shower curtain, shower. The footsteps stop in front of the door, and all of a sudden I feel like there's another person on the other side of the shower curtain from me. And I freaked out. Like, I freaked out. Like, I thought they were in the stall. I was having none of it. I throw the curtain open. I'm like, oh my God. And there's nothing there. Of course. Like, why would there be someone there? It's 4 in the morning. There's no one out there. And then after I open the shower curtain, I look, I see there's no one there. I close the shower curtain back up to finish my shower as fast as I could. I had shampooed my hair, you know? I hear the pacing again, and I'm like, this makes no sense. Who's here? So I get out, dry my hair really fast, and I'm like, ready to be like, yo, whoever's out here, you're being creepy, right? So I walk out, I open the door, I'm looking, I'm being like, girl, what the fuck is up? No one there. So I get my ass back to my room, change, and go to sleep, and I'm like, whatever, the dorm's haunted, not a big deal. You know it's haunted, don't freak out about it. So I just don't shower when I'm the only one showering again for the rest of the year. I don't really have issues with it again the rest of the year, because up to that point, I had felt someone watching me every time I showered, but it had never been footsteps, feeling someone outside the curtain, that. So I just didn't shower unless I knew other people were in there. So after that happened in the shower, it really started picking up how fast things would happen. We would hear things in the closets all the time. It was constant. And it's like a hollow noise because it's just tapping, and then all of a sudden it would go from tapping to just banging, someone banging on the inside of the closet, and you're freaking out. You're like, oh my God, did someone break in? Because we did have break-ins, but that was a whole nother story. And you're like, oh my God, what the fuck, what the fuck? And it was just awful. Like, it was awful living there. It was not fun anymore. It got to the point where we would leave the room, me and my roommate, and we would go home for the weekend, and we would come back, and our neighbors would be like, what do you mean you left this weekend? We heard music playing. We heard furniture being moved. We heard voices all weekend. You had to have been there. And none of us have been there. We have an Amazon Alexa, and she would pick up just random things. When we would leave, she would start playing music, like just randomly while we were gone, and people would be like, why is your Amazon going off? Like, why is it still playing music while you're gone? Why don't you shut it off? And we wouldn't have left with it on. We'd come back though, and it wouldn't be playing. So, and then it would go to, I don't know if any of y'all have an Amazon Alexa, but you can see in the phone what questions are asked. And we would be able to go in, and somebody would have told it to play music, or people would say that it played music and it had no record of playing any music, or it would have records of questions being asked. It would pick up things like, why? What did you do? And it's like, we didn't ask the Echo these things, but it had the history of it. So in the middle of all this, I don't remember the exact timing, my roommate injured his leg and had to sleep like on the bottom, like on a pull-out sofa. And he woke up one night and saw a man standing in front of the door, just staring at him. And one second he was there and the next he wasn't. And that was creepy, you know? Because like we're thinking it's haunted by kids. Kids aren't a big deal, you know? So, you know, weird. And that, the creepy, the knocking, hearing things, you'd walk into the door and hear someone say like hi behind you, whatever. So we started trying to talk to them, you know, like not in like a Ouija board way, like no, like, hey, what's up? It's not cool for you to do this. Please don't. And how I always talk to ghosts. I normally, if I'm in like a haunted place, I'm just like, hey, I'm gonna call you this when I refer to you. If you don't like that, whatever. RRA told us if you gave the kids a ball or something, they would play with that and leave you alone. We got 2 red lacrosse balls, you know, about that big, bouncy balls, just big glorified bouncy balls. And we were like, hey, if you leave us alone, you can play with this. All right. And nothing happened for about a week. But you would leave them on the desk and then they'd just be gone. Like it wasn't like they'd move, they would just not be there. And you could hear them bouncing as if they were coming from inside the desk or like in the wardrobe, and then they'd be back like on the desk where you left them, and you'd have been looking for them and they were there the whole time, I guess, but like they weren't there when you looked for them. Okay, whatever, at least they weren't messing with us. Hearing bouncy balls, a lot less creepy than constantly hearing knocking, seeing things. So after that, we go home for winter break. Of course, nothing happens while we're home. It didn't follow us home. Ooh. We come back. Next was, I was up in my loft one night. It was dark out, like just getting dark out. We always leave the window open in our room because we have a lot of plants. That was the light I was using. I was up on my phone. I was in there by myself. And my roommate was across the hall in a friend's room. Yeah, I was just playing on my phone. I wasn't feeling great. And I hear the doorknob. We had been having, like I said, a lot of break-ins, and that was one of the things that you would hear before like your room was broken into. So I texted and I was like, hey, are you messing with the doorknob? And my roommate was like, no, but no one else is either. And I was like, that's weird. And then I heard like someone keying into our room and then trying the doorknob, and I'm like, hey, stop messing with the door. You're freaking me out. And my roommate's like, I'm still here playing games across the hall. I'm not near the room. And then my roommate comes back, grabs something and leaves. And while he's in here, I'm like, hey, what the fuck? And he's like, no, really, it's not me. And I'm like, okay, stop. And he leaves. And I don't hear it again. But all of a sudden I hear from under my loft, which is where we keep, like you can't get under my loft because I had both dressers under my loft and the television and the fridge, like, and the snack, like, container. I had everything under my bed. But I heard a giggle, like a little kid laughing. And I like, Logan, are you still in here? And my roommate's not in there. And I'm like looking around, I can find nothing. And I was like, hey, what the fuck? I thought you left. Stop laughing. This isn't funny anymore. And my roommate comes back in the room and is like, hey, are you okay? What's up? Why are you texting me this? And that was like it for me. I was done. I was so done with that dorm. So more time goes on. We keep hearing banging in the wardrobes, but like you figure out how to deal with it by the end once you've been dealing with like that stuff for so long. It's like if you hear this and then 5 seconds later and then you just go, can you just stop? And it will. I mean, like there was one morning I was up getting ready like towards the end of the year and it just repeatedly tapping, and I'm standing next to the wardrobe and I can hear it and it's right there next to me, and I go, oh my god, can you just stop? and it goes dead. It just stops. And that was, from there, that was towards the end of the year. And after that, it got even worse. Like, it just kept ramping up. It was like it knew that we were leaving and it was mad about it. So I was getting ready. I was getting ready to go out to dinner. I was just, when you get out to go dinner, you're just like putting on sweats, throwing on a t-shirt, because you're just going down to chow. It's not great. You're just gonna see like 4 people, you know. It's whatever. So I'm just in there. The door's open into the common area, and from our room, yeah, you can see all the way from the window, out the door, across the common room, to the RA's door, all the way across the hall. So I'm getting ready, and I'm using, it's dark outside and the lights are on inside, so I'm using the window as like a mirror, just, you know, doing what you do. And the door, like I said, the door out of the room is open to the common area, and I see behind me a gross man, and I'm like, is that my roommate? Did my roommate grow? And I turn around and there's no one standing there, and I'm like, you sat down awfully fast. So I walk out and I'm like, yo, who's just standing there? Like, I didn't know we had to do it on the hall right now. And my roommate's sitting there and is like, no, I'm the only one that's out here, and I've been sitting putting on my shoes. And I'm like, no, I just saw a dude in the reflection of the window out the door. He was standing right here. And I'm like, wait, what? That doesn't even make sense. Because where I saw him standing would have been, he would have had his legs in the entertainment center where the TV was in the common room. And I couldn't tell you what he looked like. He just looked like a tall, dark shape of a man. So that wasn't, it didn't like freak me out at the time. It freaked me out later, thinking back on it. But at the time, I was just like, okay, whatever, let's go to dinner. The next day, the next night, I'm once again using the window, getting ready, whatever. And I notice that there's handprints on the window, which is not weird, because like, yeah, we cleaned the window when we moved in because it was kind of gross, but I felt the window when I wanted to know what temperature it was in the morning. I just put my hand against the window and I was like, that's how I'm gonna get dressed. But next to where I would put my hand, you could see it, and it was the only handprint on the window. But on the other side of the window was a child's handprint about that big, just a little toddler handprint. And right above it was a handprint about that big, you know, fully grown man's handprint. Well, fully grown man, maybe like when we had parents over, maybe when he had friends over, maybe it was maintenance, I don't know. But we never had kids in that room. So I don't know how there would have been a kid's handprint on our window. But there was a clear as day, toddler, or I guess even baby, like tiny handprint. Like, none of us ever had family over that had small children. There were no small children, and it was up, like, where I would have been putting my hand, and I'm 5'10". So that was towards the end of the year, and we're like, okay, we're moving out soon. It's not a big deal. We have like 3 weeks left. So we're getting ready to go. We're patching up the wall, and we've already taken the mirror. We had a mirror on the back of the door, you know, as you do. We had a mirror on the back door, and we had already taken it off and put it like leaned up against my desk, right? But we had pulled the futon away from the wall, and I was sitting like on the futon at the weird angle, and I could see in the mirror reflected back at my desk, or yeah, the mirror reflected from my roommate's desk to my desk. So I was looking at it because I was like, that's what my desk looks like. And I looked away and I looked back, and standing there in the mirror, I saw a human. I couldn't tell you if it was a grown man. I didn't pay that much attention. It was literally there. Like, I glanced, nothing was there. I glanced again, there was a person. I glanced again, there was nothing. I didn't think I was gonna see a person again. Like, I saw a person once and I was like, okay, that's them telling us we need to go. So I saw a person again and I flipped my I jumped up. I'm like, what the absolute I'm moving around. There's no way there was a person in our room. We were both sitting on the couch. Like, there was a person standing in the mirror. And I was like, this. I'm out. This. So, at the end of the year, we're moving out. We're getting everything. And you know how I mentioned earlier that if there was a ghost, I would be like, hi, this is what I'm gonna call you. Yeah. So I always ask a ghost, hey, I'm gonna call you this. If you don't want me to call you this, find a way to tell me your name in a non-threatening way. The last thing that happened was right before we moved out. We were moving all the furniture back to where it has to be. We're taking the lofts off, and we unlofted my bed. So I called the children, Jack and Jill, and I said, at the same time we were like playing with the balls with them, and we're like, you can play with these if you leave us alone. Which, by the way, only worked for like a week. But it worked for a week. I had said, hey, I'm gonna call you guys Jack and Jill. If you have an issue with that, find a way to tell me. And as we were unlofting the beds, scratched into the side of my bed, like inside, like here. Can you see, like here, but on the actual leg of the bed? So I guess, look behind me, right here. But where it would have been facing inside, so we couldn't see it because there would have been a dresser there. There's no way any of us could have gotten there. Scratched into the bed was V-A-L. I'm gonna insert a picture of what it looked like. It's a really bad picture, but you can kind of see like the A and the L. Guess its name was Val. And we moved out. And that was the end of it. Like, we're living in a nice dorm this year. It's not haunted. It's fairly new. Really nice. We have our own bathroom, so no more communal showering at 4 a.m. And I'm really happy. I'm not gonna say I regret living in a haunted dorm for a year. It was an experience. I wouldn't wish it on you. I would recommend it, but it wasn't bad. So that's my story. Like, comment, and subscribe. Tell me below if you have any interesting dorm stories, or if you live somewhere that was haunted for a year, because, you know, it's not an uncommon thing, especially when you get to college. A lot of dorms are haunted. I'll see y'all later. Bye.